Auburn has another commit in the 2026 class. Finally. They're going to need some more. Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of every single day. Joining me as he does every single Monday is my good friend Caesar Walker to talk a little Auburn recruiting, something I'll talk about tomorrow, my friend Charlie Five. But this was too good to not talk about today, not wait until Tuesday, talk about what we can talk about Monday, Caesar. Auburn has another recruit on today's show. We'll talk about the addition and what that means for Auburn in recruiting, where they rank and what work they still have left to be done. Let's start with the recruits. He is here. Peyton Falzone, a four-star QB from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. He cometh from Nazareth, Caesar. He flipped his commitment from Penn State to Auburn 3 days ago. He's ranked the number 11th quarterback in the class of 2026. Number 183 overall, 6'4", over 200 pounds. He's a big guy. Talk to me about Peyton Falzone. Eventually, they won't have to add another QB commit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Ashton Daniels has got 1 year. He's gone. Jackson Arnold, you hope, plays well and is out of here fast enough for Deuce Knight to be the guy. But you need a natural succession at quarterback, and Hugh Freeze has said repeatedly he feels like the way to build a program is from high school. Enter Peyton. This didn't really move the needle in terms of where Auburn is ranked, but this is still a very important piece to add to the class.
I agree. And you want to bring in a good QB in each class out of high school, Mike. And so it was important that Auburn continues to go after QBs from the high school ranks to begin to just stock that QB room. And this appears to be a pretty good one. I didn't know this kid was on Auburn's radar. I think this is the biggest surprise is that, Auburn was in it for the kid who was pretty much leaning towards South Carolina. And out of nowhere comes this guy, Falzone. This kid basically put up some good numbers last year, threw for 2,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, ran for almost 700 yards and 8 more scores. 6'4", almost 6'5", but is athletic and can run. Again, this is the type of QB that Hugh Freeze likes. So it's interesting that a kid from Pennsylvania who was committed to Penn State out of nowhere commits to Auburn. And so I'm curious about this one, Mike. Hugh Freeze has shown that he's willing to recruit in anyone's backyard to get anyone's QB. Last year, he flipped Deuce Knight from Notre Dame, and now he's flipping this kid from Penn State. Again, I'm impressed with what this coaching staff has been able to do, particularly at the QB position. It appears to be a good one.
Well, he's a dual threat QB, so ideal fit for Hugh Freeze's system. Over 700 rushing yards in his junior year. We'll keep a close eye on those senior year stats to see if he continues to rack up stats and climb the rankings as far as where he's ranked in this class. But a solid top 200 kid is nothing to sneeze at here. Like I know, there are hidden gem 4-stars in every single class. Now, Deuce Knight, highly rated, 5-star guy, top 50 kid, very, very, very good, obvious talent. But guys like Peyton are important. They're important to add to your class. And he's got, it seems, all the basic skill sets that he needs. I'll be interested to see Ike's film breakdown on Peyton and what things he does well. But if they're asking this kid to come in, I'm expecting that he's the cerebral type. He goes through his reads and progressions well. It's a base that this staff has told me privately that they want to start with these QB commits, and he should help bolster the future of the Auburn QB room.
I agree, and again, the ability to be able to run but also throw. Obviously, Hugh Freeze wants to throw the ball in his system, but if you look at the past QBs that he's had, these guys have been able to run. And so, again, this just another one of Hugh Freeze's type. But also, Mike, you want to be able to get your centerpiece to your offensive class in. You want your QB on board early as possible so you can go after some of these offensive weapons, particularly at receiver. You got to think too, Auburn's been at it for some receivers. Auburn actually lost a commitment recently at receiver. These guys want to know who coming into this class is going to throw them the ball, right? And so getting a guy in who's reputable, top 200 and according to 247, top 11 QB recruit in the class. These guys have someone that, hey, this is someone who's legit. This is someone who can give me the ball. And I think it's going to help you go after some of the skill players on offense because you have your QB on board. So it was a very important pickup from a recruiting standpoint, Mike.
2,500 yards passing his junior year, 21 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. That is the touchdown to interception ratio you want to see, particularly for a kid who rushes the ball a lot. I mentioned over 700 yards of rushing. This is a guy who, can add a lot to a QB room. He's accurate. And that's one thing that I did see in the tape. Again, I'll be interested to hear Ike's take on this, but he's accurate with the football and delivering the football. That's something that is going to help Auburn in the future as Hugh Freeze begins to bring in dynamic pass catchers with what he calls catch radius in this league. Having an accurate passer like Peyton is going to help it's going to help multiply the dividends in the passing game.
I agree. And again, you can't teach that, Mike. So the kid has to come in with a degree of accuracy because there's other aspects of the game that you're going to have to help him develop with, particularly in the read option, being able to be the additional coach on the field who's making the right decision each and every play. You're putting a lot on a QB with Hugh Freeze's system. So one of the things that he needs to be is accurate with the ball when he throws it, Mike. So again, very important pickup. I'm excited to see. I'm really excited to see if Auburn can hang on to this kid because, again, this kid isn't so. It was not like a Deuce Knight situation where Deuce Knight's from the South committed to a school up north. No, this kid is from north, from Pennsylvania. So seeing if Auburn can hang on to this kid, I don't think Penn State is going to give up on him. But again, for right now, this is a huge victory for Auburn as you kind of have to stop. You kind of say they're stopping the bleeding, Mike. I mean, when you look at their rankings, Auburn's down there right now, but they only have 7 commitments. And I think you picked up an offensive lineman, an offensive tackle last week, but then this flip comes out of nowhere. And you hope that this is what can get the momentum going for this coaching staff as you flip a big-time recruit or commitment from a big-time Power 4 program in Penn State who was in the college football playoff last year. So a big win for Hugh Freeze and company.
Huge win for Hugh Freeze and company. Look, only 7 interceptions over his last 2 seasons total. So when I say my man doesn't turn the football over, he doesn't turn the football over. I mentioned he's a dual threat QB, but he also is a multi-sport athlete. I'm talking track, lacrosse, swimming, all those things my high school didn't offer. we had swimming and lacrosse. So,
Same.
I don't know about you, but we did not have a lacrosse team. Peyton is out there doing all the things in high school athletically that he can. Something you like to see, a well-rounded kid, 4.0 GPA, just seems like the prototypical student athlete that you'd want to come into your system. But what does he do for this recruiting class, and how much work does Auburn and Hugh Freeze still have left? We'll talk about that right after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode of the Auburn Express is brought to you by our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from the Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to Renfro's Supermarket and Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. Not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. This episode of the Auburn Express is brought to you by our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER. Get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, The Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Our guy Richard is a longtime sponsor of the show. Please, please, please go to the Rogue Shop and get you something today. I love the sleep gummies. You will too once you've had them. Also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to Renfro Supermarket and by the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, a lifestyle consultants. Go get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. Let's jump back in here, Caesar, and continuing our conversation about recruiting. You add Peyton to the class, another Peyton. Hopefully, Auburn fans don't have PTSD from the last Peyton that played quarterback here. I thought he was a standout guy. Probably took way too much of the blame in the passing game. But they've got work still left to do. I mentioned in my open, he had some guys here with Peyton. R3 still has Auburn ranked 64th in recruiting with the 7 commits that they have in the tank. My guy Charlie 5 last week pointed out that if you look at last year's class, there were a ton of flips in season. Feels a little unsettling for Auburn to be there in year 3 when it comes to recruiting. But I think it's just the consequences of 2 straight losing seasons to start, right? A lot of kids are either choosing other places to go and the negative recruiting is working, or they're waiting to see how Auburn starts their season against Baylor and eventually taking on Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia to open SEC play.
I mean, it could be a little bit of both, Mike, but I do think that at some point you're going to, I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum. You're going to have to begin to put some W's. You're going to put some in the win column for these recruits to really see that this program is heading in the right direction. And I think because you haven't done that, recruiting is getting a bit difficult to do. And obviously you're going to give your rivals in the SEC ammunition to recruit negatively against you, because again, you can sell a dream for only so long, Mike. At some point it has to start coming into fruition, or the program has to start on the positive trajectory that you have forecasted during your tenure. So again, I think that that's part of it, Mike. I think this coaching staff has some work to do. We saw again, and I mentioned this last time we talked about it, Deuce Knight. I remember Deuce Knight came to Auburn, all 5 home games, it seems, at the beginning of the season. Is like he needed to see something positive.
And he committed after a loss.
He committed after a loss finally, but he probably would have committed sooner if Auburn had put a dub won one of those games. And I think that's a big part of what a lot of these kids who are on the fence need to see. They need to see that, hey, there's something's different about Auburn this year, that they're heading in the right direction. And it's going to be a challenge. I think this coaching, I'm not ready to hit the panic button with this coaching staff, because I am encouraged by what they were able to do in a short period of time when Hugh Freeze first got hired at Auburn. He went on a flip spree, Mike. He flipped guys from Miami, Florida State, guys who Auburn, it just seemed like Auburn was out of it for. This coaching staff was able to do. And I'm thinking that with a positive season where you're winning 8 games or so, Auburn is able to get some of these guys back into the fold. But I just think these kids are waiting to really see if Hugh Freeze and this coaching staff is for real, if Auburn's for real. The hype around it is pretty good. The coaching staff is selling them something. I mean, you love that athletic facility that they have. But what's happening on the field? Can you put it together can these kids see themselves as part of this program that's heading in the right direction?
You know, they're definitely going to have to be flip mode squad this season. It's a little Busta Rhymes reference for those of you who are old enough to get that one. However, it is a tiny bit disappointing that that's where they're at in year 3.
Yeah.
Needing proof. You're going to year 3. You have proof of concept. You got proof of prayer. You know, what's that Bible verse about faith?
Faith without works is dead.
Look, man, the evidence of things not seen. I don't know what these recruits are going to need to see this season in the first couple games that's really going to make that negative recruiting pitch coming from the other coaches fall flat.
Yeah.
Because right now, I mentioned this on a segment I did with Ike. The problem with the negative recruiting pitch is that's true.
Yeah.
You have not had a winning season. Quarterback play has been underwhelming. You do have questions about whether the staff knows what to do with a QB. You do have questions about the future of the program under a coach who lost more games than he won his first 2 seasons. So if you're an opposing coach and you're saying, I don't know if you want to commit there because I don't know if Hugh Freeze is going to be there. The thing that I would say to top level recruits is this. Why not? It's not like the portal doesn't exist in today in a way that gives them pretty much a freebie if they don't like it, right? If it's not what it is, commit to Auburn because you believe what this coaching staff is telling you. And if there ever comes a time where they're not here, you'll be able to transfer to any school you want if you're a top flight recruit. If Cam Coleman decided he was leaving Auburn, there's not a school in America that wouldn't take him immediately and start him from day one.
Right.
So I'm not sure that Peyton is in that vein of athlete, but certainly if you're Auburn, you've got to do enough in your first 6 games to say, hey, the reports of our demise, the predictions of our demise are way overstated. And then in the next 6 games, you can say the prediction of our demise was flat foolish. After you whoop up on Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Mercer.
Auburn is poised for a breakout, Mike. And obviously you need to see some W's this season, right? But Auburn also needs to see its QB lighted up. Like Auburn, we talked about these wide receivers. Auburn needs to see the quarterback put the ball in its playmakers' hands early and often in the season to let recruits know something is different about Auburn. Something is changing. This coaching staff knows what it's doing. They're able to get the ball in the hands of playmakers and make plays. The talent is upgraded. Let's see what they can do. It shouldn't be this. We shouldn't see any more of what we saw when Auburn went on the road to Cal, and it was just an offensive struggle game. It was a defensive match, right? You want to see Auburn begin to take that next step offensively. This is Auburn's 3rd offensive head coach since Gene Chizik left Auburn. Like it's time to see some offense on the plains, right? And so if you have the talent there, if you believe Jackson Arnold is your guy, if you believe that you have your quarterback for the future, and you have a guy who's you believe was a talented QB, is fully capable of running your offense, it's time to prove it. It's time to show that to recruits that, hey, we've upgraded the talent level, and look how explosive this offense is. Come be a part of what we're building because now I have my guys on the plains running my offense. So it's really on this coaching staff to really change that narrative, and they have an amazing opportunity to do that this upcoming season. Right?
Caesar, before we get out of here, answer 2 questions for me. The first one is what if? Question number 1: this 2026 recruiting class is a failure if. Finish that sentence for me.
If it finishes outside the top 15.
Outside the top 15. Yeah. All right. Now, if you're listening on pod or on YouTube, hit the chat for us. This 2026 recruiting class is a failure if. Finish that sentence for me. And the next sentence is Hugh Freeze gets fired in 2026 if
Auburn doesn't win more than 6 games.
Oof. Okay. Definitely fired.
Yeah.
If they don't win more, that means 6-6 gets you fired.
Right. You're 500. That means you lost some games that this season was probably over. Like you came out, you stumbled out the gate in this season
and never caught up. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Look, I think that this 2026 recruiting class is a failure if they don't finish in the top 12. Now, I don't think there's a lot of difference between class number 5 and class number 8, but I do think there's a lot of difference between 6 and 15. So I think they need to get in the top 12. And I'm with you. I think Hugh Freeze gets fired this season if they don't finish above 500. Don't finish above 500. At 7-5, you can still kind of have a conversation, but you still have some tough questions to answer at 7-5. You may be able to answer them, though. I don't know what that sounds like. We've got to let the season play out. But I do feel like there's an acceptable explanation. There may not be a lot of them, but there might be one.
Right.
You remember Avengers Infinity War? Doctor Strange goes in the future and Tony's like, how many possible scenarios did you see? It's like 14 million. How many of them did we win? One. Yeah. There might be one. There might be one explanation. If you go 7-5, that will be acceptable enough to get him in.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Like there's a scenario where he does escape. There is a scenario where he does make it at 7-5, but it's going to be tough, Mike. It's going to be really tough.
Really
hard. How you lose that 5th game is going to be very telling.
Yeah. At 8-4, you beat somebody nobody expected you to beat, and that's just my personal feelings about it. Something we addressed in our one-on-one sit down that he was so gracious to give us. I hope to see him at 8-4 and us not having to answer either one of the questions I just posed to you, but we will see. Here at the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. Guys, as I mentioned, if you're in the comments after this video, do us a favor, smash that super thanks button. Help support the work that we're doing here. We're at SEC Media Days in a couple weeks, live from Atlanta, the College Football Hall of Fame, bringing you guys lots of great coverage. You want to be a member for that, but you can help support our work by giving us a quick super thanks. That's it for another great edition. You guys know the deal. If you like what you see, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW4 on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.